think up on Instagram. That.
Maybe we need an installation video.
And have
that.
Yeah, inspect it when it doesn't need inspecting.
Yeah.
All right.
Or how not to bend it when you're trying to inspect it to see if it's bent.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. All right.
How to not break.
I think we are up on everything.
That's like
that's amazing.
It's science when you're trying to observe something to see if it changes. It changes because you observe it.
Quantum entanglement, whatever it is.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, 11 a.m.
Tuesday.
Episode 73.
Well, so yeah, Facebook's 73 again because I typed it last week. So I made it 73.0.1.
It's a qualitative nomenclature here. So, welcome to our live chat Q&A, AMA, Q&A S&M session. And I'm Javad Shadzi. I'm the president and CEO of 034 Motorsport and the founder. And this is Nate Stewart, who's the founder of our engineering department, and our director of engineering.
And video producer.
That's right. And so we're here to answer all your questions and address your comments about 034 Motorsport, products, services, our history, how much you love us, how much you hate us. And if you don't even care about us, then why are you watching?
Differences.
So that's what I would ask. And anything else that you want to ask about? How to perfectly sear a chicken thigh. You know, there's actually a lot to it. So, but
butter.
Put your questions into whatever platform is your viewing pleasure. And then we will address it. We have a growing team of marketing professionals here in the room with us that you can't see, and they are frantically typing questions down.
We should probably at some point see if it makes sense to also like deplatform a couple of options. Like maybe we can just do like Instagram and YouTube or something, or if we can get enough people over there.
You mean just stop using Facebook?
Just stop using 3 different things for your stream because it's kind of chaos.
Yeah,
and then you can see more people's questions too. So I don't know.
We should do a poll of that.
Yeah.
Like how problematic would it be if we weren't on Facebook?
Well, this is kind of cute. Facebook adds follower anniversaries. So someone just commented and it's their anniversary of following our channel.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Send them a t-shirt. All right. Okay, let's start at the top. I think there's some questions from last week. What was the time of the previous stock turbo record? Assuming for B9?
Yes.
I think
So the previous record was 11.1 at 121.3 with no weight reduction and a minus 2,600 foot DA. Was it that fast?
It was 11.1.
I thought it was 11.3. No?
No, 11.14.
11.3 is what one of our competitors ran.
Correct.
With weight reduction.
He was running an E40 water methanol tune.
So this was a customer time.
Correct.
Yeah, 11.1 it was
drag.
Yeah, on draggy.
And then there's a follow-up saying, so if no weight reduction, would 034 still have beaten that time?
At a negative 2,600 foot DA, I'm pretty sure we got that easy.
That's really good DA. That's like, running with a 20 mile an hour tail.
Yeah, we ran an 11.25, I think, 2.4.
Yeah, so what was the
full weight with a 1,200 foot DA or something at the point at that time.
So we ran a tenth faster or slower than that. With a much worse DA. So the difference between 3,000 feet of barometric pressure. So yeah, I think we would have beaten it. There's only so much horsepower you can produce from this motor on a given fuel. And then you also run the risk of like bending rods and things like that. But then where times will continue to get faster from an 11.1 is, we ran 11.2, they ran 11.1, their DA was 3,000 feet better than ours. So we're right there as far as power and performance. So how we go faster, how we get into the 10s, how we get into the mid 10s, how we get into the low 10s, weight reduction, traction off the line, prepared surfaces, even better DAs. you want to find a 5,000 foot DA, minus 5,000 foot DA, and there's no ice on the ground, knock yourself out. But you start throwing in some wrinkle slicks, lightening of tiny little brake rotors, lightening of the car, really good setup, a suspension that allows the car to really squat.
Alignment.
Alignment settings.
It all starts
eliminating any kind of camber, no toe, things like that. But as far as horsepower goes, if you're on stock turbo and you're on E85, there is a limit. So we're not going to shave a half second off the quarter mile based on how much horsepower we can produce. So there's a lot of like nitpicking about weight reduction
to some extent, but there is quite a bit in the calibration that will differ in the way the power is delivered. It's not going to be the maximum amount of power, but we have picked up a lot of time in the way we are.
That's fair. Like our latest. What we ran with was a custom file that had optimal shift points that maximized acceleration down the quarter mile.
No, that wasn't custom. It's our upcoming full stage 1 file.
No, it's custom. We created this file. It's not a factory file, so we customized the tuning, and we will be offering it to customers. It will be an off-the-shelf product, but when we ran with it, it was not an off-the-shelf product. It wasn't available.
Yes, no.
Right. That's my point. So, anyways, my point is the power is the power, right? And we've proven that we're making as much or more power than anyone else. So yes, our times compared to this time with a minus 2,600 foot DA, absolutely. Yep. And I think we could have beaten it. And we will continue to push the envelope. We're not done yet. But we took 250 pounds out of the car. We put 220 pounds out of the car, and we put some wheels and tires on it. Yeah. We basically took out the passenger seat and replaced the driver's seat with a Kirky, and we took the exhaust off.
Replaced an Eric for a Nick too. Everything took 45
minutes. This is anything anyone can do. If you're going to the track on Saturday morning, Friday night, you crack a beer, spend a couple hours. We did in 45 minutes, and spend $2-3 grand on some wheels and tires, and you can do this. It's nothing special. This is not rocket science or anything like that. And we're showing you what you can do. So you're welcome. Enjoy it. All right. You offer brake rotors from 034 and Girodisc for the R8. Differences and recommendations, and why to choose one over the other. We started carrying Girodisc 5 years ago. It's an excellent quality product. They're a great company to work with. We've never had an issue with their products. We used to run them on all of our cars. More and more, 034 Motorsport is a premium quality brand, and we like to control the offerings within the products and brand that we offer. And so we started working with a very good brake disc manufacturer, and so we are building out a whole line of brake rotor options that are 034 Motorsport versions of brake rotor upgrades. They're very similar to Girodisc. They're priced similarly. Honestly, I can't say not to use Girodisc. It's never had a problem. It's a great quality product. Yeah. We are offering a 034 version. It's just as good as Girodisc. I don't know if one is better than the other. We haven't seen that. We've tested the hell out of our brake rotors as well. In fact, Friday we were at the track. All of our cars had our brake rotors on them. They all performed flawlessly. No brake rotor warping of any kind.
No braking issues at all.
And actually, braking performance was quite good. Very good. I'd say better than factory, just because the rotors are cooling.
They're actually cooling properly.
Yeah. So I would say take a look. If you want to have a 034 car, then you definitely will want to choose our rotors. You can't go wrong. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. And then more and more you'll see that we offer some applications that they don't, and we're gonna start doing more with brake rotors than they have. Yep. We have a very Audi, Volkswagen centric view. They make rotors for all kinds of stuff. And so that's really the advantage you're going to have is the 034 perspective is going to be very Volkswagen and Audi hyper-centric.
That allows us to also, we have very specific applications and can tailor some of these rotor sizes and specs to our needs.
Yeah.
Where we wouldn't have to convince someone else or ask for special runs and limited runs.
So for example, since we're talking R8s, we do have a brake rotor upgrade kit, which is 10 millimeters bigger and gives you a little bit more cooling, a little bit more thermal capacity, a little bit more leverage in the braking force that the rotor can apply, the caliper can apply to the axle. And that's not something Girodisc has. So that's us flexing our perception or our perspective on this application and coming up with these products because we go so deep and we're so focused on Volkswagen. So, for B9 3.0T, could it be possible just stage 1 to create an additional file with stock level subtle crackles? Many people with sticks in stage 1 may just I have no idea what this is.
Stick to stick.
Which sticks in stage 1 may just want extra performance but not big changes. I don't know. I mean,
we have this discussion every week. With the stock exhaust, they're really not much more than stock, I would say, from a sound level standpoint. And it's one of these things is, we have 10 people wanting more and, 2 or 3 people wanting the same or less than stock. So it's always a struggle to balance this out. It's a very subjective, and you can turn them off. Like stage 1, you can set up the dynamic or your individual sound setting to turn it off within the MMI. So yeah, that's a tough one to please everyone with.
Yeah, I mean, send your feedback in. We've certainly made changes based on feedback, but we're not gonna we can't please everyone when it comes to crackles. So overall, the feedback has been very good with the latest release. And, again, send in your feedback. We'll take it, but you can turn it off. Is it in your pipeline to develop more BMW hardware and possibly software in the near future? Absolutely, we are. Yep. So our first BMW deep dive is in the latest generation 340i. And so we have our whole Dynamic Plus treatment coming out with sway bars, springs, inserts, alignment products, and we will be looking at software in the future, not right away, but possibly next year sometime. And then we are also doing for like M2 and some of the newer M models as well. So definitely look for a lot more products coming out. We're doing intakes, high flow cats, intercooler piping type products. We had our 340i at Laguna Seca on Friday. It's relatively stock right now, and we're just baselining in and testing the crap out of it. They're really great cars right out of the box.
all of our cars also. We do track the crap out of them stocked. Kind of where they need improvement, and there's certainly room for improvement on the BMW as well.
So yes, stay tuned for a lot more. We have some density motor mounts are coming for like the F30. So those are right around the corner.
Quickly, can you let them know they can comment their questions? People are asking where do they submit their questions?
Where to submit your questions? Wherever you're watching. So Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram.
Yeah. And wherever you're watching, put the question in there. And we have a team, as maybe you weren't here in the beginning. We have a team of people scouring these threads, pulling the questions in, so that Nate and I'm looking at a screen here with questions on it. Happens to be my phone. Let's see. Keep the B5 alive. Any new products? Didn't we answer this last week? I think we did.
Maybe
it gets asked.
It's
we're probably not doing a lot of new products for the B5. The B5 is pretty much done as far as products go.
As far as re-engineering and development.
And from our perspective, I mean, someone's probably machining a billet aluminum block somewhere for that.
Yep.
They can knock themselves out, but that's not the business we're in. But we did release a coil hold down bracket earlier this year for the 2.7. But I don't think there's going to be a lot more coming. I mean, there could be some small little products. The good news is we have a very complete product. Yeah. If you want to build a 500 horsepower KO4 twin turbo track monster with mostly bolt-on parts, we got you covered. So, any plans for the 4.0 SQ7? I'd love to have one of those.
Yes.
They're a little pricey for what I need it for, driving kids around.
Those applications, we've talked about this before, the SQ stuff and the Q series, if it pairs along with something we're already working on, so if we find that it is a close enough, development to the RS6 and some of the other 4-liter turbo applications that we will absolutely be hitting, then yes, we will certainly wrap that in.
We probably won't specifically hit that unless Nick buys one, and then it's all we'll hear about.
It's all we'll hear about. All of a sudden, all these SQ7 guys looking out of the woodwork.
Look all the SQ5 guys. Haven't been wrong yet.
So, haven't been wrong once. Yep.
I said yet.
The Q and the SQ stuff is tough. Just because it's a very rarely requested application.
Okay, this I think should be a very simple, quick answer, but someone's asking, is it common to be running lean AFRs and having NOx on your Stage 2 93 octane B9? No, absolutely not. It's not common. It's very wrong. And then they followed up asking, will using colder spark plugs help with pre-detonation? I'll just be very clear. There is no Band-Aid fix if you are actually having some kind of detonation problem. There's something seriously wrong with your car.
Yeah.
You should contact us immediately. Email tuning@034motorsport.com. Do not drive your car with detonation. But no, that is not a feature of our tuning. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. And there is no Band-Aid fix for that.
Yeah, changing spark plugs is not going to change your fuel mixture or anything like that.
You can. Our tune is designed to be run with factory spark plugs safely with optimal performance. You can change spark plugs to a cooler plug for reasons, but not this reason. So I just want to be very clear. There is no detonation problem with our tuning.
Yep. And
there is no lean running issue with our tuning. And we will be happy to help you try to sort that out.
Yep.
B9 SQ5 Intake ETA. I believe we're shooting for hopefully next month, November, possibly December. That was the last thing we talked about. January? Okay. Well, okay. It's going to be a few more months, at least. Everything's. We talk about this pretty much every week. Everything's just delayed right now.
That's a mess.
With material sourcing, with shipments coming in from the outside of the U.S., shipments inside the U.S. One of my friends has had his brand new iPhone lost twice. 2 separate iPhones have been lost and never made it to his house. Thankfully, I got mine. But I hear on Facebook, too, a lot of people complaining about FedEx, UPS, USPS, you name it. So everything's, this is a function of a worldwide network of disruption, and then record levels of demand that the country has not ever seen before. So it's just the perfect storm.
I was just going to say, if there's a perfect storm of supply chain, not collapse, but just weakness or frailty, we're in it.
And then we literally had the perfect storm here, and it rained for 3 days straight. It's
this past weekend was pretty rough.
Basically, some of my kids have never seen rain, and it rained for 3 days, 4 inches in 3 days, 2.5 days. Basically more than it's rained here.
Yep. Some places here, like Mount Tam, it's 45 minutes north of here, 16 inches of rain over a 48-hour period. Like, it was pretty intense.
So my son has 2 different weather stations and tracked the rainfall, and the sensors read slightly differently based on which way they're pointed in the direction of stuff. But we got like 3.8 inches in one and 3.95 in another.
Just a lot for out here.
It's a lot, yeah. But hey, we were shipping throughout the whole thing.
And we were on track for
Good.
it.
Yeah, we were actually at the track. B9 SQ5 034 rotors coming soon. Stock size and upgraded. We had our SQ5 at the track Friday and experienced the shortcomings of the factory braking system.
Yeah.
Spectacularly. So we will definitely. The car needs more than just rotors, but yes, I believe we will be doing rotors, and we're looking at actual brake upgrades as well, because the car is actually fantastic on track with our stage 2 tune and E85, stage 1 or 2, but yeah, we're that car's currently on stage 1, and 295s all around with our 21-inch. What are those wheels? 11-inch wide. 10-inch wide wheels,
395s.
295s.
Yeah, it's a lot of
the car gets around the track very fast. And our front rear sway bars, which completely transformed the car. But the car hauls. It can only go about 3 or 4 laps before the brakes just turn into like molten lava. So yeah, we're looking at that. Stay tuned.
Yep.
How hard is it to resurrect a previously discontinued 034 product? Would love to grab the 3.2 liter VR6 ITBs you used to make.
How many of those do we sell?
Like 5 or 6?
Maybe. Yeah.
No, I think we did. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard. It wouldn't be necessarily a good idea, but that product in particular wouldn't be that big of a deal because.
If the ITBs still exist, I don't know.
They do.
They do. Okay.
It's a company called Extruded Body. They're still around, and so we could make some of the, the right way to do this for us would be if somebody, I don't know, like Eurowise, they do like the older VR6 stuff, but if somebody wants to do a group buy or something and handle that, then we could make like 10 sets, and then you would go out and order. And then we tell you which throttle bodies to order, and you'd go do that on your own. But I don't know. That's that. There's that saying: "The road to hell is paved with good intentions."
Right.
It's just probably not a good idea. So, but if somebody emailed us and wanted to buy 10 sets, we could probably figure something out. No promises. Do you have to adapt the transmission and the clutches before the TCU time on B8? The TCU tune on B8?
It's sometimes a good idea. Usually, no. You can flash and go. So yeah, it's not something we say that you have to do. Otherwise, it would be in the flashing process. So it really depends on the transmission and how kind of its state of adaptation prior to. It's generally not a bad idea to do that just periodically for those cars anyway, but it's not something you have to do after you flash. Yeah. And I'd say a vast majority of people do not.
What's the difference between the 2 DSG tunes on B8.5 S4?
Mm-hmm. So a lot of those you'll see a 7,200 RPM and then a specific, some higher rev RPM files with individual gear shift points listed. Those are primarily for drag racing so that you can stretch out some of the taller gear or some of the later gears so you're not hitting an extra shift by the end of the quarter mile. And then that's the primary function there. I'd say most applications, the 7,200 RPM shift is where you're going to want to be.
Any ETA updates on the turbo elbow and surge tank
DAZA.
for DAZA? Okay. I've run out of things to buy on your website. Follow-up comments saying he really has run out of things to buy. Well, good for you.
Thank you.
The turbo elbow is coming soon. The DAZA, the turbo inlet. I think we have one we can show off.
Sean's grabbing it.
It's on its way here. It's from our casting foundry. I don't know if we have a release date for that, but as soon as it's here, we will release it. I know it's on the schedule for like within the next 3 months.
Hey, look at that.
And And the same thing with the fuel surge tank. Here's the inlet. It's a beautiful piece of gorgeous casting, very high flow, and then we will have various adapters for whatever turbo you're running, whether stock or TTE, what you call it. I believe we cover just about everything on the market as far as hybrid drop-ins go. And this will be dirt cheap. We have targeted a very low price because we're such a late entrant into this product, and we spent a bunch of money on tooling, but the per unit cost is pretty low. So if we can sell a bunch of them right away, we can pay off the tooling, and so that's our strategy.
Get you guys a lot of flow.
Yeah, we don't usually target cheap prices, target quality and performance. But in this case, it will be quality, performance, and cheap.
Yep, you get it all.
You're welcome.
Again.
So yeah, hang tight. The surge tank is also, and it's in the manufacturing phase. The engineering is done.
That's a really complicated kit to put together.
The bomb's going to be like over 100 different parts. So, is it a good idea to buy your dust covers on the rear sway bar end links, or will they hold up in weather without covers? It's a good idea to buy them. Really, you're more worried about water and corrosion and things like that, but the dust doesn't help either. They will function in dust and weather, but they just won't last as long. So I would recommend getting the dust boots. Are very cheap. It's just going to be a lot more work to install them than what they cost.
Yeah,
but there's zero detriment to performance, and it's a good thing to do. B9 RS5 tuning ETA. I think we're shooting in the next few months.
Yep.
We're working on the flashing server piece right now.
We've actually got a lot of good progress on that.
Yeah. So hang tight. It's coming soon. I won't throw out any dates, but it's coming soon. Is dual pulley worth the cost on the B8 S4? If you want to go even faster, yes, it's worth it.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, the B8 S4, if you have the supporting mods, it's worth it. As long as you are, if you upgraded intercooler or upgraded heat exchanger, an intake is required. That kind of stuff. And personally, I think if you can run the E40 file, that's where it really shines. The 91 and 93 stuff, you'll get an improvement, but it's you're more octane limited for sure on those files.
Yeah, but it's the next way to get more power.
Yeah,
it's not as big a bang for the buck as single pulley.
Yeah, and even further down, like stage 1 is always going to be your biggest hit for power increase to dollar.
Yeah, just
because the stock leaves so much on the table typically.
But yeah, if you do E40 with dual pulley, it's rip your face off fast. Like Nate said with the supporting.
Yep. Apparently we have a light going out, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, something.
If you see any flickering, we've got some LEDs dropping off here.
When should I add a dogbone arm to my MQB GTI, and when should I step up to your StreetSport mounts? All right, so we actually grabbed some of this stuff. So every GTI, MQB, anything, whether it's a Golf R, GTI, or even a Golf, should have our inserts. This is a no-brainer, no compromise modification. There's very little to no NVH, and you get a nice reduction in engine movement. So this particular, which is affectionately known as the dogbone mount, this attaches to the subframe. This attaches to the bottom of the motor and transmission. And so what happens is, if I'm driving, it's in the car like this down here, and when the engine produces torque, it wants to rock back this way. And so what this does is this controls the engine from just spinning in a circle, right? And so this stabilizes that fore-aft motion of the transverse engine and transmission assembly. From the factory, there's big voids in this mount here. And so this arm can move about 1 inch in either direction which is a lot. It's too much. So by putting these inserts in here, we stabilize the void in here, and we prevent as much movement. We still allow some movement, so the rubber has compliance and it squishes. But that's a great modification for any car. And again, it could have been a factory product. Now, as a quick aside, because we have the upper and lower insert, we're the ones that innovated that. It prevents any bending forces in any of these mounts. But we have heard complaints of people bending their upper insert. But it looks like what's happening is when they're taking the dogbone out or they're working on it, they're bending it down, and it's bending this lower insert.
Yeah, there's just a retention lip along the bottom. It's a really thin
prevent
piece.
the possibility of it ever from falling out, which it would never do.
Yeah, that's all it's there for, is a location provision.
But these parts never touch, and because all the forces are completely linear forward and back, there is no bending force on these parts, but they can be bent during the installation or removal.
Yeah, if you're prying on them,
just
or smashing them in there.
Be careful not to lever the dogbone arm down on it and bend it. If it does bend, it's not that big of a deal.
It's just for retention.
You may have a hard time getting it back in if it's too tweaked.
Yeah.
If you ever have an issue, just contact us.
Somebody's asking if there's vibrations with the MQB lower inserts. We strive not to increase vibrations. I mean, it's you're limiting the amount of movement and free space available on the mount. So there's going to be some NVH increase.
Mainly, you're going to feel it when the car is in reverse,
idle,
and sometimes in idle. But it seems to be worst. The worse it gets is in reverse, which is a very temporary thing. I've driven so many cars with these. I don't have an issue with it. And I'm 47, and I don't like driving cars with NVH anymore. I had a car once that it had so much NVH it would crack its own windshield when I would drive it. So that's where I came from. But I'm at a point now where I want nice, quiet comfort, and I'd like to get home in one piece, and I'd like to see out of the windshield. And so I don't have a problem with it. I think there is some instances where people install these incorrectly. You have to make sure that the insert's not touching. You don't want to short circuit, from one hard surface to another hard surface. You want to make sure that you have rubber or air insulating at all parts, which isn't hard to do, but I think
they can certainly be installed incorrectly easily, and you can, if you get things twisted or you get things kind of tilted and smashed in there. You can, like Gerard said, short circuit your vibration path, and you're going to get a lot of noise and a lot of interference.
And there is an issue when you're putting all this together. If this is attached to the motor's swinging around and it's producing. You got to line it up and get everything lined up. So that can aggravate the proper alignment of things. So make sure you're doing that. So anyways, that's the dogbone. Now, we have an additional upgrade, which is our density line motor and transmission mounts. Now, our density line products, if you don't know, are basically re-engineered factory mounts as if Volkswagen and Audi were producing a performance mount product. So we re-engineer the rubber, we re-engineer the voids. In many cases, we eliminate any voids in the mounts, and we change the diameter of the rubber. This is a product that we innovated in 2005 in this industry, and we've been very successful with this product concept, and we have a full line of density products. These Mark 7 GTI Golf R mounts have been on the market for 5-6 years. We've sold tens of thousands of them, and we've improved them a number of times over the years. And so this is a great product for anyone who's driving the car, doing spirited driving. It could be on a road course. It could be on the street, absolutely on the street. We offer street density version. So again, this is going to introduce some NVH, but nothing terrible. But it's going to completely lock down the motor and transmission drivetrain, so that when you apply power, you get a very direct transfer of power to your tires, and you don't squish and bounce around your motor and transmission. These mounts perform substantially better than stock. They are not stronger than stock. So if you're planning on doing lots of clutch drops and burnouts and drag racing and stuff like that.
Big power setups.
Yeah, you like to like bang and scratch second gear and and stuff like that. You can do it, but you will damage the mounts eventually because they're not strong.
If you're busting apart factory castings, you're gonna probably be in a similar place with these.
We're using factory style castings, factory rubber. Ours have less movement, but the design is not inherently engineered to be strong. It's a different performing product that's in the same format or architecture as the factory mounts. And again, this is fine for anyone who's not drag racing or doing burnouts or really kind of like things that are really hard on the drivetrain. But the good news is if you do that, we got the mount for you. So this kind of, you can see the resemblance. This is the same application. And this is our Motorsport. This is indestructible. You cannot break this.
Yeah, if you've broken one of these, you've got a lot of other things that are
you will break your
very
leg
poor shape.
far sooner than you will break this. And I don't care if you have 500 horsepower or 2,000. Everything else in your car will break around this mount, which is what it's designed to do. It's all billet construction, and we do feature our density line rubber mounts in here.
It's something we do have to often clarify is these aren't solid. These are still active, dampened, rubber isolated mounts.
They allow compliance in the drivetrain, which is very important. You cannot really solid mount an engine and transmission in a car and expect it to last. Things will break because things have to move around.
My e-Golf is solid. It's not an internal
rubber mounts. What?
Nope.
It's
solid aluminum to the frame. Yep.
Really?
Yep. It's one solid cast.
That's really surprising. Even Teslas have mounts.
Yep.
Tesla motors. So anyways, this is the beat it to death, and we do offer a street density and we call it a street sport and track sport in this. The street sport isn't quite as raunchy. The track sport will shake your teeth out. The street sport, I would say, is livable on the aggressive side. For example, the Malacca guys run these and they like them. They don't have any complaints about the NVH. But if strength, and Kyle, one of our marketing guys runs them, very nice. But if you're looking for the utmost strength and performance, this is the way to go. This is stronger. This is better performing.
I run our
it's NVH.
Yeah, I run our motorsport stuff in my B8 S4 and have for years. And
no, it's not bad.
I forget they're in that.
You like when I get in your car, like I'm
like a little
I can hear a little extra drivetrain noise, but it's not bad at all. So that's kind of the review of the mounts for the GTI or MQB application. Everything I said would apply to the RS3 and TTRS as well. The 8S TTRS or the 8V.5.
Same with B8s. All the
B8s, B5s, we have the
same treatment.
They don't have dog bones, either do B8s.
Nope. That's different geometry on those. But all the same mount stages apply. We've got densities, and then it gets into the motorsport stuff. Yeah.
And this is a cutaway of our density mount, but it's solid. This particular mount is solid rubber. And we very carefully engineer the durometer or stiffness of this rubber. Durometer is how rubber stiffness is expressed. So yeah, and I will state unequivocally that we have the most complete motor mount drivetrain solutions on the market. We don't do poly really in any of our motor mounts. Poly quickly breaks down.
It's kind of the wrong material for these applications.
Poly can only compress. It cannot operate under tension. They don't really make rubber bands out of polyurethane. So rubber is the ultimate motor mount material, and that's why we use it in all of our mounts. It's long lasting. We actually offer a lifetime warranty on our motorsport mounts. Again, I don't know if anyone, we've sold thousands of these. I don't think we've ever had a warranty on them.
And they're serviceable, rebuildable.
Totally rebuildable.
If the need ever arises.
And we offer kits. So if you get the track sports, we offer a kit to easily swap out to StreetSport, and you can go back and forth between the two easily. So we have full support for these products as well.
Can you explain why we used two different mounting points on that versus one? One of our competitors has a single bolt through, whereas we have two.
For these?
Yeah.
Well, there's one competitor on the market where they have a single bolt that goes into this like 1/2 inch thick aluminum plate, and I've seen that bolt just rip out of the plate. that's what's
It's also
like a single shear.
It's also on the wrong plane. These mounts twist.
Yeah.
So as Gerard was mentioning earlier, in the transverse mounted applications, that motor is trying to rock backwards or forwards under acceleration and deceleration. So you want all of your hardware to be in basically that rotational plane. So you're rotating along with that plane, and all of your clamp loads and your hardware is installed that way. When you put a pin down and you're trying to rotate against, or use that pin to stop the rotation, that's going to be basically your flex or your weakest point, where things are going to start to give.
Yeah, and it's a single shear application. It's the weakest way to design something. So that's why if you Google this particular competitor, there's just lots of pictures of them.
And we,
failing in
the first revisions of these we did have a single larger bushing in there. We played with some different aspects of setting these up. The dual smaller bushings much more controlled the drivetrain the way we wanted, and that's kind of where we settled in.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we've tested a lot of different combinations on this.
On some of the applications, we actually have a rubber mounting provision that goes in between the two mount bodies as well to add some lateral
that basically
stiffness.
Replicates this feature here on the stock mounts, where it keeps the motor and transmission from moving laterally left and right.
Again, you're not going to find more complete solutions than what we offer. There was one company that was trying to compete with us, and I think they recently shut down. So no, we're still here. We stand behind these products. There have been we've had some quality issues with our density mounts over the years. We've corrected them. We stand behind it. If anyone's ever had an issue and they contacted us, we've done our best to warranty it and take care of them. We're in it for the long run, guys. We're not here to just sell crappy stuff and disappear.
Nope. And I'd say with the numbers of those we've put into the market, we've got a really solid track record, even with the limited issues we've had from time to time through different production runs.
Yeah, the 034 Motorsport website went live in 2004, and it's never come down for any reason, and we have no plans to take it down. And I saw we're like the 150,000th most trafficked website in the U.S.,
which is not a small thing.
That's great. Yeah. Any plans to get CARB approval EO numbers for your intakes? Yes, we are working on that right now.
Yep.
And we will make announcements as they come.
Yep. It's not going to be all of our intakes, but it's going to be a lot of the popular ones.
When can I expect your MK8 GTI tune? Well, when can we expect the MK8
we can start working on? Yeah.
These cars are severely delayed due to chip shortages and other things. I think what I've been hearing is we're looking at least 6 months before we see that car here, even though it's supposed to be here right now. Volkswagen's probably at least 6 months, and this is in Europe too. Racing Line got some cars earlier this year, and now nobody can get them. So the chip shortage is a big problem. It's the same thing that's challenging us is also challenging everybody. Please discuss the differences in performance, noise, and smell, and going from stage 1 to stage 2 on the B9 S5. Well, I'll talk about smell real quick. That depends on what cat you're using. If you're using a test pipe, it's going to be really smelly. If you're using a really cheap high flow cat, like from various 3-letter companies that God knows what's in it, it could be very smelly. You won't have any smell issues with our cat, which is a Euro 4 specification cat. It runs very clean. It's basically the emissions of a 2008, 2010 car.
Well, from the element and the catalyst itself. The vehicle is also still obviously much more advanced than what was out there.
Right. So it's with our high flow cat, it's going to be a very high flowing, very clean running setup for your racing application. As far as performance, it's really over like our 1 Plus. You're looking at like another 10 or 15 horsepower.
Yep. Which is it's where you're at. We're talking about a maxed out stock turbo. Yep. So to be able to unleash another 15 horsepower is great. So that's what you get. But the 1 Plus is very attractive.
and that's with intercooler and intake.
Right. Keeping all the stock.
You're
cameras and
going to
stuff.
get close to that type of power. But if you're looking for the most power, I mean, I was looking at a thread on our customer group this morning. A number of people were, waxing philosophically about how much they love being on stage 2. They love the additional power. There doesn't seem to be any compromises or issues. They were complaining about how like everybody wanted to be their friend. And they had too many friends.
It gets awkward when you run out of time to spend with them.
Yeah.
There's others like them more.
Yeah, their OnlyFans was like going through the roof, and they didn't know how to like produce more content for all the additional members they had.
They turned on crackles.
And then crackles, yeah. Then when you turn on crackles, your OnlyFans just turns into YouPorn. It just switches. It's like a conversion. I'm debating Mark 6 or Mark 7 Golf R. Just don't know which engine is overall better. That's
7.
Mark 7 all the way.
7 for days, yeah.
End of discussion.
Mark 6.
Yeah, the Mark 7 cars are it's a leap forward in niceness.
Yep.
And the motors are great. They make a ton of power. Really, really nice
Yeah,
cars.
I
You
would
can't go wrong
say
with the
7 all the way.
Yeah. I don't know what the price difference is, so I don't know
I don't know what pricing is
It's
any-
probably like
anywhere
10 grand or
these days.
something.
Yeah.
Any recommendations for people who want to track their car for the first time? Obviously, every single one of your products, but things to know, advice before hitting the track.
Ooh,
We've talked about this before. So, in full disclosure and full honesty, you do not need to put all of our products on your car to drive at the track.
if this is your first time out,
If it's your first time. But, driving at the track is one of the greatest modifications we call the driver mod. So, the slowest thing about your car is you, not the products, not how it comes from the factory, but you are the slowest thing. If you've never driven on track, I'm sorry, you're nowhere near driving that car to its potential quickness or speed. So, I won't even get too much into what products to put on the car. Let's just assume you have a stock car. Go sign up, get some good instruction. The Audi Club has good instruction. BMW Club. I know there's lots of other driving day type schools.
yeah, Hooked on Driving does.
Hooked on Driving has good instruction. But you want to get out on track, and you want to get 5 or 10 track days under your belt. And I think at that level of like kind of the 5 to 10 track days is where things usually start to click for people. And you start learning about part control. You start learning about how to position and move the car through a corner, about driving the line, about getting a car to its kind of threshold of traction and grip and keeping it right there at the limit.
Yeah, and you're there, and it's not like I know how to take a corner on the street. I can max out that corner.
Yeah.
It's doing it for 30 minutes at a time for an entire course, lap after lap, consistently. And that's where things get.
Yeah, and on the street, there's really no line. There's a lane, and you have to stay in the lane, and the lane is like about 2 feet wider than your car. But when you go on track and you go into a corner, that section of the track is the same width as about 10 or 15 of your cars.
Yeah.
And so, where are you supposed to be? Do you just hug the inside of that corner? Absolutely not. Do you just drive through the middle of the corner? No. So there is a line through that corner that you need to learn. And you need to learn how to drive that consistently. And that line will result in your ability to carry the highest speed through that corner and ultimately around the racetrack. So just work on yourself, open yourself up to feedback, go into it with zero ego. Just assume that you're the worst driver and you know nothing.
Be a sponge.
And take advice from people who know and who've done it. And again, I the biggest impediment I see here. So I've instructed for years, done hundreds and hundreds of track days, and the biggest issue I've seen is people that come into it thinking, I do street racing and I fly through a canyon, near my house, and so I already know everything there is to know about driving on track. Those people leave the racetrack no better.
Yeah,
And
if
it's a
they're not
shame.
willing to
It's a shame.
open their mind up to, some instruction.
Yeah.
We had someone get out of a ride along with you who said that exact thing. It's like, I drive really fast in the canyons, but I just don't understand how this is so different. I can't.
It is sustained forces that you just cannot hit in the street. So and vehicle dynamics you're never going to be able to do.
Yeah, and
On a normal road.
When you ever flat out before.
And we're talking like, getting the tires up to temperature, getting everything up to a point where it's your maximum adhesion that you cannot hit on a street.
well, I was describing this to someone too. It's like when you're on track, you're not only driving the line or the fastest way through the corner, you're not only carrying the most speed you can through the corner, you're not only braking, but you're braking as little as possible before you enter the corner and set the car's attitude through the corner. You're thinking about when to get back on the throttle. The sooner you can get back on it, the better. You're managing the car's brakes because they're heating up. You're managing the car's temperature because it's starting to pull back power. You're thinking about the tires and what's happening. And so you can't get good at that in 1 or 2 track days. And so when you're at the level where you've gotten pretty good, you're just looking at the next corner. You're just seeing what the next corner is, and you're letting your brain and your reflexes process everything else. And that takes time and practice. You're building muscle memory. But you're just looking at the next corner, and your arms and your feet are doing the rest. And there's not really enough time to think about it. You're not like consciously thinking, I need to do this with the steering wheel, I need to do this with the power. There's not enough time. I mean, a corner lasts a second or less, and it's gone. So it's building up that skill, that muscle memory, those reflexes. It's an amazing skill to have. Very few people have it. And so if you take the time and you spend the money to learn how to drive on track, you'll be in a very exclusive group of people in the world who can get pretty close to getting the most out of what their car has to offer.
And I don't know how many people realize how directly so much of it translates to just driving on the road. So much more of it becomes muscle memory, and you just instinctively know like what the vehicle is going to do if you have to deal with somebody on that's hauled down to a stop in the middle of the freeway because they missed their exit and they're going in reverse. Like it just becomes instinctive. Your heartbeat is barely going to go up. You just like, oh, it's that situation. I know what the car is going to do, and it's far more comfortable and reassuring to drive in any situation once you've got a very good understanding of the vehicle and its capabilities.
All right, let's pound out a couple more here.
Yeah, we waxed on that one.
When can we expect 20x10 ZTF wheels?
Early to mid next year.
Yeah, like Q1 of next year. Our 21s are here, and they're live on the website. If you're looking for a 21-inch by 10 for like your SQ5 or RS7, SQ7, Q5.
Really go crazy if you wanted to put on RS5.
RS5, it can fit, yeah. Engine oil catch can for B9 SQ5. We have one coming for the B9 S4 and RS5, and we'll have to evaluate SQ5. I don't know if we've done that yet.
Right. There's
Mark, write that down. Why was E85 not recommended for B8 but is okay for B9? Does the B9 have better fuel lines?
No, it's nothing to do with fuel lines. It's to do with the volume that we are able to provide the motor, both in high pressure pump and injectors.
So it's fuel system capacity as far as delivering fuel.
Yep. So we settled in at E40. It's been a really nice compromise on the B8. And frankly, I've tested E85 on the B8. There's really not much more power in it to go full E85, which actually leads into the next question. Somebody's asking when we're going to offer full E85 for the B8. We will. We're looking at a couple of different ways to do it. There's some MPI stuff coming along in the market that is an option. Sure, we're not sure if that's going to be necessary to run full E85. There might be some simpler paths we're looking at. That said, I think the market knowledge is going to come around to the fact that there's not a lot of power in the table that E85 is magically going to give you.
It's just a diminishing return.
Yeah, I mean E40 is already really close to maxing out.
This E60 is pretty much
E60 is about
Yeah.
the standard where things don't really matter between E60 and E85 for the pump available fuels. And there's been a bunch of talk from various tuners and whatnot out there that claim they're getting 100 more power, horsepower on an E85 tune. It's just not there. That's we're running the same timing numbers on E40 right now, basically, that we would on our 104 octane race fuels. Like it's a good setup. So
yeah, it's really good.
It in my opinion, be nice for convenience more than anything.
All right, someone's asking, will you be at SEMA? What car are you bringing? Yes, we are in the Euro Motorparts Group booth, which is booth 23429.
Okay, we got a number and everything.
23429. And we will be bringing our S4.0T. So this is a B8.5 S4 with an S6 4.0T twin turbo. It's basically like a factory looking installation, and it runs and drives.
It does.
And it will be there. So come check it out. Come check us out. We will have various 034 staff in the booth.
I feel like there should be like a separate SEMA category for like it runs and drives.
I know.
It's like a SEMA car. It's like this one actually works.
Yeah.
Like it's not just pushed and shoved.
Missing drive shafts or
You know,
anything.
missing entire suspension and drive shaft, drivetrain components.
Yeah, Bluetooth.
What size exhaust would be suitable for an IS38 GTI? I noticed larger diameter exhausts have minimal gains on the MQB platform. How come? So technically, for a turbo car, you could benefit from having no exhaust.
There's never too big.
Yeah. With that said, factory exhausts are extremely good, and at the power level that an IS38 can produce, there's really no gain by going with a bigger or different exhaust. I mean, you might. I imagine if you took the factory exhaust off, you'd probably gain like 10 horsepower or something like that. It's not that much. So it depends what you're looking for. If sound and convenience is not an issue, then build a 4-inch downpipe that just dumps under the car.
Up through the hood, wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
Don't catch things on fire.
But if you like having a relatively usable street car, keep the factory exhaust, do a high flow downpipe, and you're right there. It's possible that the Supra had a more restrictive exhaust. Cars used to have much more restrictive exhausts, and the factories are looking for every efficiency they can gain from a mile per gallon standpoint. So exhausts are very efficient and free flowing as a result, because if there's an exhaust restriction, it hurts the efficiency of
And there's a lot more acoustic science that's been applied these days to exhaust, so they don't have to like cram it through some terrible paths to try and dampen the sound.
With development of 034 brake rotors, will we ever see any for the A models? I need rotors for my B9 A4. Yeah, I don't see why not. We should definitely do A4 rotors.
I think we
All of them are in the car.
Yeah, so we're planning on that. The S cars are obviously the most obvious, and then I think generally with the A type vehicles like the A4, we'll try to somehow create some type of upgrade if possible. But the B9 A4 has really nice brakes from the factory.
Yeah.
They're 4-piston calipers and everything. So just needs a little bigger rotor if possible. Speaking of ALC, would the 2.0 ever get something other than stock for launch control?
Yeah, this was a follow up to
For
some
B9?
advanced launch questions. The 2 liters like MQB stuff, we are certainly.
Oh, the 2.0.
Yeah, we are certainly looking at
Yeah, we're looking at adding.
We will be adding.
And we'll be adding it to all our teams, yeah. For the full B9 trans tune, how much quicker would you say quarter mile times would look?
About 2/10 is what we saw.
Yeah.
On what we ran.
Yes.
So the file that we ran that we'll be releasing in the not too far off future was about 0.2 of a second. So it's pretty substantial.
Pretty substantial.
If I go with stronger rods but stay with stock turbo, can we get a broader torque band on stage 2 E85 B9? I think
Right now,
you're splitting hairs.
Yeah, there is some more on the table. It is, fueling limited, but it's not that much more.
It's minimal. But yes, I mean, we could get more torque, but not enough. I wouldn't say it would be worth
Worth
spending $5,000 or whatever it's going to cost to upgrade
Get
it.
it back in heat.
And yeah, it's more heat from the turbo, and
Yeah.
it's a tough trade off because we've found, it's something you have to balance. Where if you're going to make a bunch of power down low, your turbo is just heating up your intercooler, heating up your charge temps, and then you pay for it up top. So it's not really a free lunch. You've got to pick your best compromise.
Yeah. So I think we're out of time.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. We have some questions left from this week that we'll tackle next week.
Yep.
There's only like 5 or 6. We actually got through a lot, but thank you for joining us and appreciate it. And have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next week.